Avondale is home to Phoenix International Raceway, which about twice a year in April and November hosts two NASCAR events. The events bring 10,000 RVs and approximately 40,000 new residents to the city of Avondale. PAR becomes a city in and of itself, with its own grocery store, utilities, entertainment, and public safety. The RVs vary in condition and type, but one thing is almost always certain, that they're always very closely arranged, sometimes with only mere feet separating the different RVs. Although they are arranged in neat rows to facilitate access, sometimes vehicular traffic or pedestrian traffic, or even barricades, will cause access issues for emergency vehicles. RV arrangement and access aren't the only challenge that fire crews face. Many of the campgrounds have barbecues, warming fires, or outdoor stoves, lighting, and other items that may present a fire hazard. Utilities are also present at the campground. These come in the form of large generators that provide electricity to the various rows of RVs. In an effort to minimize response times, Avondale Fire Rescue staffs a full-time station on the grounds of PAR during race week. This consists of a fire engine, one battalion chief, a brush truck, and a couple of medic carts for EMS response. This is enough to get an initial 3-in-1 going. However, the balance of the assignment may be 5 to 10 minutes away, and resources limited for the initial attack. Today, there are an estimated 7.2 million RVs on the roads in the United States. That's approximately 1 in 12 vehicle-owning households, according to some statistics. They come in a variety of classifications, sizes, and have a various amount of amenities. With so many different classifications of RVs, it's important to review them from a firefighting perspective so we know where the diesel engines are, the gasoline engines are, and where the propane tanks are stored. Class A RVs tend to be the largest and most expensive of the RVs. They're built on a truck chassis, weigh about 15 to 30,000 pounds, are about 30 to 40 feet long, and have gas or diesel engines. The gasoline engines normally are mounted in the front, while the rear has the diesel engines, also called diesel pushers. On all RVs, it's important to note where the propane tanks are stored. On Class A motorhomes, they're typically stored on the side and are about 9.8 gallons in capacity. The new RVs will typically have a very large generator, normally mounted in the front on a sliding tray. They also have several banks of batteries stored typically on the side. The next class of RV is a Class B, also known as a van conversion. They're built on the original van chassis, have elevated roof lines, weigh about 6 to 8,000 pounds, and can be about 17 to 19 feet long. They'll have all the amenities of a regular RV with a kitchen, bathroom, sleeping quarters, and the propane internally mounted on the side. Class C RVs are typically longer than the Class Bs. They're built on truck chassis, and they're characterized by the sleeping bunk that's over the cab. They're about 10,000 to 12,000 pounds and range from 20 to 31 feet long. One feature of Class C RVs that's becoming increasingly popular is the use of large truck chassis. These have diesel motors and large diesel tanks that can carry up to about 100 gallons of diesel fuel. One last note about Class C RVs is they're very popular in the rental market, which means you might have some users that are not very familiar with their systems or where different features are. Still, another type of RV seen on the roads are travel trailers. They're typically towed by some vehicle, bumper pulled, and come in a variety of sizes ranging from 10 feet to 35 feet long. The propane on these trailers are almost always located on the tongue and may be 1 or 2 bottles. One popular type of travel trailer is the toy hauler. These come with a large area in the back where the user can store motorcycles or ATVs. Typically, these toy haulers may have an extra fuel tank so they can fuel up the motorcycles as well as power their generator. Another class of towable RV is the fifth wheel. Fifth wheels have a hitch that fits in the bed of the pickup truck, allowing the weight to be evenly distributed over the axles. The propane tanks are typically mounted on the interior to one side. The last class, and possibly the most unique, is those RVs that fall into the category of other. They have been created or customized by their owners, and they come in a variety of sizes and features. The one thing we have to watch out for these RVs is that they've been constructed without any kind of conformance to standards, so connections to utilities and gas might not be up to code. One thing that is common in all RVs, regardless of the date of manufacture or its classification, is the extensive use of cloth, foam, plastic, and wood on the interiors. This adds a considerable amount of BTUs and contributes to quickly spreading fires. Flashover can be reached in seconds. In some of the RVs that were burned on our training ground, it took only 2 minutes from the point of ignition to the RV to be fully involved. From a firefighting perspective, RVs can essentially be considered as small residential structures. The exception is that there's a lot of fuel on the inside, where wood and plastic has replaced drywall. But they're contained and insulated, so you can expect extreme fire behavior as you would on a structure fire. It is important that firefighters try to get an all clear when possible, but don't go interior in an RV fire. Flashover and backdraft are entirely possible in RV fire, as the following video will illustrate.
Oh my, they got somebody hurt. Oh gosh.
Another concern for firefighters are the propane tanks. These are inherently constructed to resist levy by having a pressure relief valve. This pressure relief valve is usually angled straight down or at 45-degree angle to one side. In this video, note the sound of the pressure relief valve going off, as well as the change in fire intensity. This video taken in Florida gives us another example of the pressure relief valves on the propane tanks working. In the spring of 2012, Avondale Fire Rescue took advantage of a generous donation of approximately 20 RVs from a local towing company. Seeing a unique training opportunity, the training division set up a series of drills. RV fires where the arrangement was close, access was limited, obstacles were in place, something similar that we might find in trailer parks or the conditions at PIR during race week. Participating crews were tasked with several goals. The first was to extend hand lines long distances, confine the fire to the RV of origin, protect exposures and get all clears in adjacent RVs, and operate with a limited amount of water, since water supply is limited at PIR and some trailer parks. In order to maintain a safe training environment, NFPA 1403 was followed. Prior to burning any of the RVs, propane tanks were drained, AC units removed, refrigeration units removed, and gas tanks were either drained or filled with water. A total of 6 different drills were conducted, with about 2 to 3 evolutions per drill, burning at least one RV each time. 4 departments participated, including Avondale Fire Rescue, Tolleson Fire Department, Goodyear Fire Department, and Rural Metro. In an effort to quantitatively measure the effectiveness of fire crews, certain parameters were timed, such as time from dispatch to getting water on the fire, and time from arriving on scene to getting water to the forward pumper. 3 engine companies and 1 battalion chief participated in each drill. Ladder companies were excluded from the drill since ladder company functions are unlikely to be used on an RV fire. On some of the drills, a brush truck was included. This is because Avondale Fire Rescue staffs 1 brush truck down at PIR during race week. The possibility does exist that the brush truck will be the first to arrive on scene. One of the lessons learned during our RV fire drills was that fully involved RV fires were consistently brought under control with less than 400 gallons of foam solution. This is dependent, of course, on effective discipline by the firefighters in using their water and the degree of fire extension into adjacent RVs. Even when Avondale's brush truck was first on scene with just 2 firefighters and 400 gallons of water, it was sufficient enough to contain the fire until backup crews could assist with getting all clears in the adjacent RVs and extending additional hand lines for extinguishment. However, to sufficiently overhaul the fire required about 3 times as much water and multiple crews. Another lesson learned was that an RV fire should be addressed much like a structure fire in the sense that crews need to prioritize protecting exposures and getting all clears in adjacent structures. At no time should crews enter an RV fire unless victims are close to the door and can be easily reached. Also noted was that straight stream patterns typically overpenetrated RVs. They're only about 8 feet wide and about 20 to 25 feet long on average, so straighter streams easily went through and out of the RV. This wasted valuable water and foam and did not allow for the water to take advantage of converting to steam. A more effective strategy was to use a medium to wide fog pattern, which proved to be more efficient in fire extinguishment as a greater quantity of water was converted to steam and the penetration was sufficient to snuff the fire out. In some cases, a fully involved RV was contained with less than 100 gallons of water. Note in this video how effective the fog pattern is on the RV fire. This is the same fire viewed from the front of the RV. Putting it all together, from a fire attack standpoint, crews should attack the fire from the back to front or front to back. This way, our crews avoid operating on the sides of the RV where propane can vent suddenly. If we were working on the side of the roadway where many RV fires do occur, this also keeps our personnel out of potential traffic. Firefighters should approach the RV, break out the front windshield or glass, and direct a medium or full fog stream into the RV, letting the water work for you in suffocating the fire. If an RV fire were to occur at Phoenix International Raceway, or any RV park for that matter, firefighters would be challenged by access, vehicle arrangement, and possibly water supply issues. Long hose lays may be required to make an effective fire attack, which, in turn, would require some tactical and strategic considerations by the first-in-company officer and command. Shown here is an aerial photograph of PIR during an event that draws patrons with RVs. It is important for fire personnel to note that there are approximately 100 feet of separation between the rows. Any RV fire in such crowded conditions would most likely lead people to attempt to move their personal property, vehicles, and RVs away from the fire. This could significantly add to the congestion along access routes. To overcome access issues, it might be a good strategy for the first engine in to avoid the most direct route to the fire, and instead place the apparatus 1 to 2 rows away and pull hose line across the rows. Knowing that 100 feet separate each row, the company officer can estimate how long of a hose lay is needed. This preferably would be a horizontal standpipe, which would provide a long reach and give the ability of the second arriving crew to connect to the gated Y. The second engine in, ideally, should take up a position close to the first. Hook up a supply line to feed them extra water, and then send their crew to hook up to the first engine's gated Y and assist with fire attack. As the balance of the assignment arrives, command can assign them to overhaul, patient treatment, or shuttle water if needed. One last lesson learned during the training involved that of terminology. At an incident where access is an issue, command might have to be located in a position that provides a less than desirable view of the fire. In such cases, clear and effective communication to command of conditions, actions, and needs on the fire ground will go a long way in a safe and successful fire attack. Personnel should understand the difference between the terms exposure and extension, as they can be interpreted as two entirely separate ways and elicit different responses by command. An exposure indicates an object, usually property, that is threatened by a fire, while extension indicates an object that has already caught fire to some degree due to extensive exposure. Using the correct term to describe what you observe will go a long way in helping command in making effective strategic and tactical decisions. In this video, it would be correct to inform command that there are exposures to the north and south and extension to the RV on the west side of the fire.
CIR commando alarm. Go ahead and balance this to a first alarm. Command, engine 17 alarm. Hey, Paul, go ahead and come into the scene.